Pocus Hocus and the Magic House Tree, an original story based on the Upsy Downsy toys by Mattel. On the bank of the sleepy, deepy river, high in the branches of a nut beech tree, Pocus Hocus had a tree house. That wasn't what he called it, of course, for he lives in Downsy land, where everything is backward. Pocus Hocus called it a house tree. And there, in his house tree, Pocus Hocus practiced his wonderful magic tricks. At least, he tried. The trouble was that something almost always went wrong. When Pocus Hocus tried to make his hat disappear, he usually disappeared himself. When he tried to pull a scarf out of the air, he usually found a bedspread, or even a full-size rug. And when he reached in his hat for a rabbit, he usually couldn't get his hand out again for an hour or so. The house tree was a good place for a magician who needed lots of practice. There was a box to hold Pocus Hocus's magic tricks, and there was a table for him to sit at when he ate his sandwiches, 2 slurps of peanut butter with a slice of bread between. On the front of the house tree was a big sign Pocus Hocus had painted himself. Upside down, of course, since this was Downsy land. The sign said, "Pocus Hocus's private club, no one else allowed." "Humph," humphed Miss Information the first time she saw the sign. "Who wants to climb up into that old house tree anyway? I always say, a house on the ground is worth 2 in a tree." But Miss Information was only pretending she didn't care. And when Tickle, Pinkle, and Fudgy came over from Upsyland for a visit, they wanted to visit the house tree too. "What can we do?" Fudgy wondered aloud. Miss Information sat down in her rolling Miss Information booth and thought very hard. "I think," she said at last, "that the way to a man's house tree is through his stomach. I think we should make something very good to eat and tell Pocus Hocus we will bring it with us when he invites us for a visit." Tickle Pinkle's pout vanished like magic. "What a wonderful idea!" she exclaimed. "Pocus Hocus loves sandwiches. How about making him a super-duper, mighty-munchy skyscraper sandwich?" "That sounds yummy," agreed Fudgy. "We'll make it the biggest sandwich in the world," Miss Information decided. "One good layer deserves another." And away they all hurried to get what was needed to make the greatest super-duper, mighty-munchy skyscraper sandwich ever seen in Downsy land. "Now," said Miss Information when everything had been gathered, "we'll start at the top and—" "I think it might be easier to start at the bottom," Tickle Pinkle suggested politely. And in no time at all, the sandwich towered before them. All the best things were in it: sausage and tomatoes, pickles and mustard, lettuce and cheese from Tickle Pinkle, cherries and marshmallows, chocolate fudge and peanut brittle from Fudgy, and a nice layer of freshly cooked oatmeal from Miss Information, because she liked oatmeal sandwiches better than any other kind. Far above them, Pocus Hocus was trying to make a canary appear under his handkerchief. So far, he had found a bowl of goldfish, 2 white mice, 3 safety pins, and a marble, but no canary. When he leaned out the window to see if the canary had flown away, he saw his friends down below. "Go away," he called. "No one else allowed." "But we've brought you a present," called Fudgy. "The greatest super-duper, mighty-munchy skyscraper sandwich in the world." Pocus Hocus peeked out through the window. His eyes sparkled when he saw the huge sandwich. "I'll come down and eat it," he suggested. But the 3 friends shook their heads. "It's a house tree sandwich," Tickle Pinkle said firmly. "You have to eat it up there." "Girls," said Pocus Hocus disgustedly, but he couldn't give up that sandwich. "Well, come on up then," he said at last. "Just this once." Giggling excitedly, Tickle Pinkle started up the ladder, with Pudgy Fudgy right behind her. Then came Misinformation with the sandwich because, as she said, it was always a good idea to save the last for best. Tickle Pinkle clapped her hands in delight as she stepped inside the house tree. "Look!" she exclaimed. "We can see all of Downsy Land. There are the flat-as-a-mat mountains." "And the wetter-better desert," Pudgy Fudgy added. Misinformation put the skyscraper sandwich down on the table. "Look down there," she said, leaning far out the window and pointing at a tree branch below them. "There's a whole row of red-tailed Downsy peckers sitting under their nests." Everyone leaned out the window for a better look. "Creak! What's that?" squealed Pudgy Fudgy. "Crack! The house tree is falling together," cried Misinformation. "Creak! Crack! It's falling apart!" squeaked Tickle Pinkle. "Oh, do something, Pocus Hocus! Do something magic to save us!" But at that moment, the boards that held the house tree to its perch gave way, and down it went. Floor over rooftop it tumbled down through the tree branches, down to the ground, and then over and over down the bank of the sleepy, deepy river. When it stopped at last, the Upsies and Downsies were in a tangle on the floor. Pocus Hocus's top hat was under the table, his magic box was upside down, and the sandwich, the super-duper, mighty-munchy skyscraper sandwich, was nowhere to be seen. Slowly, the four friends got to their feet and brushed themselves off. "Oh, Pocus Hocus," Tickle Pinkle said. "We're so sorry. It's our fault that your lovely house tree is spoiled." "You can scold us all you want to," Misinformation added bravely. "One bad turn deserves a scolding." But Pocus Hocus wasn't even listening. He was staring out the window, a big grin on his face. "Look!" he exclaimed. "It's magic! It's the best magic ever! My house tree has turned into a boathouse." And it had. The house tree had rolled right down the bank into the sleepy, deepy river, and now it was floating downstream. "Hurrah!" shouted Pocus Hocus. "What a great magician I am!" Tickle Pinkle and Pudgy Fudgy and Misinformation were so pleased to discover that Pocus Hocus wasn't angry with them that they didn't remind him that the boathouse had happened by accident. Then Pudgy Fudgy discovered something else that made them all feel even better. "Look back there," she said, pointing to the riverbank. "Someone is going to enjoy the super-duper mighty-munchy skyscraper sandwich, even if Pocus Hocus doesn't." Someone surely was. There on the bank were all the little animals of Downsy Land gathered around the skyscraper sandwich. Funny Funny was there, and What Nut the squirrel, and Chatter Chitter the chipmunk, and the whole flock of red-tailed Downsy peckers. What a feast they were going to have! "We won't go hungry either," said Pocus Hocus. "Watch me make a 6-layer chocolate cake appear." He waved his magic wand, and a loaf of bread rolled out of the box of magic tricks. "I'll try it again," he said quickly. A jar of peanut butter rolled out of the box. "That's all right. We'd rather have peanut butter sandwiches anyway," said Tickle Pinkle loyally. And that was what they ate, while Misinformation sang, "Boat, boat, boat your row," and they all drifted merrily down the river.